Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the very first video, and as promised, it is about Facebook backend structure. I have notes here just to make sure that I don't forget anything. I want to make sure that you guys fully understand everything because this is a very important topic. I have some stuff written behind me that I will explain. So as always, this is just gonna be a raw format. I'm not gonna do any editing. I think it's a little bit more genuine if you guys see me make a mistake rather than having a bunch of cuts. Anyone can seem like a genius if they have their audio cut up, right? Second thing, as you can see, this is still being shot on my phone. I ordered a G7X Mark III. They sent me a Mark II, so I'm sending it back, and then hopefully by next week's video, they will have sent me the Mark III. So let's hope for that. So I'm excited for this one. This is a very, very useful topic to know. So let's first start off with my whole philosophy on Facebook and the backend structure, right? So a lot of you guys are having trouble right now with Facebook simply because you guys don't even know how to get a profile up. You guys can't get a BM up, anything like that, let alone being able to scale, right? So my whole philosophy with Facebook is I like it to be where everything's just warming up, right? I'm in a constant state of warming up profiles, warming up business managers, warming up pages. So that way when one thing goes down, you already have another thing completely ready to go, right? That's kind of my whole philosophy behind it, because there was a period of time where me and my business partner Omar had a bunch of stuff going down and we never could keep up, with BMs, profiles, pages, and there's always this lag time. So that's kind of what we want to avoid, and that's where the structure comes into play. So before we get into this, let's talk about a couple terms just to make sure that we're all on the same page. So BM, business manager, proxy is basically a rented IP address where you can mask what location you're logging into Facebook from. ARI means advertising reinstated. So these are profiles and pages that were previously banned by Facebook. Well, not banned, but they were restricted. And now they have been reinstated, which essentially gives a higher trust factor with Facebook. So for some of you guys who are gonna be watching this, because I know there's people who are of all different skill levels of e-com in this group. For those of you guys who are in the 7 and 8 figure range, a lot of this is probably gonna be, relatively familiar. But for those of you guys who are in brand new, in the 6 figure range and maybe the early 7 figure range, this will probably help a lot. So I'm gonna be dropping a PDF on this either by tonight or tomorrow, because as you guys are gonna see, my handwriting is not the best. And I wanna make sure that you guys have something tangible after this video that you guys can go back and reference. So that being said, what I first wanna do is just show you guys the structure, and then we'll kind of explain what it all means in a second. Okay, so right here we have our main business manager, and I'll get into why I call it the main business manager in a second. We have 4 profiles. We usually do 5, however, just for aesthetics purposes, 4 looks a little bit better on this whiteboard. 2 employee profiles, 2 admin profiles. And then under each employee profile, we connect an ARI page. And then you could do it on both admin profiles or just one, you can connect an ARI page, right? So now that I've displayed this, let's actually go into the concept of why we do it like this, okay? Now there are other ways of doing this. For example, if you're in some other Discords, like I believe Pranav's Discord and Ecom Bobby, Ecom Legends Discord, they use kind of a different setup where there's basically the main BM and then like a couple host BMs where they will share data from. That's not personally how we do it. However, that is a great structure as well. So this is how we do it, okay? So look, you have your main BM. Now you also have a backup BM, which we're gonna get to in a second, right? But for easy purposes, this is the business manager that our store is running the ads on, right? Whether you're testing or whether you're scaling, this is where we're running our ads on, okay? Now, a couple of you might be thinking, why are there employee profiles and admin profiles? What's the point of this, right? So what we do is we have employee profiles. Again, we usually have 3 employee profiles, 2 admin, but just for aesthetics purposes, it's a little bit easier to draw 4, okay? So usually what we'll have is we'll have these employee profiles do their own separate tasks. So for example, one might be responsible for running ads. One might be responsible for adding, different things like pixels. One might be responsible for adding payment methods, things like this. Admin profiles, you can run ads with them, but the main concept of the admin profile is there just in case you get locked out of your business manager. Now, what I mean by this, right? Let's say, for example, all of these profiles, right? They all get, let's say this employee, and this admin right here, they all get locked out, right? Well, the thing is, you're only able to make a backup link to your business manager, which we'll get into a backup link in a second. You're only able to make a backup link to your business manager if your profile is an admin, right? Which is why we recommend having 2 admins, because if you only have one admin profile and that one goes away, you're out of luck. Now, keep in mind, guys, I'm going to be giving you guys, actually it's in the resources section, the recommended services. I gave you guys my Facebook plug for business managers. Now, oftentimes, he does still have access to the BMs, like, it's kind of like a 50-50 shot. There has been some times where we've bought a BM from him, say like 2 months ago, and he somehow still has access. So that is like a fail safe sometimes, but this is not like a surefire way. Like, I would definitely recommend having it like this. Now, what I'm gonna do for you guys in a bit is I'm gonna show you guys a way that's a little bit more cost effective, because I'm very sympathetical to the fact that not everyone has tons of money to be going and spending on Facebook setups, right? For example, like a proper setup can cost, $1,000 or, sometimes more, just depending on how intricate you want to go with it. And I understand not everyone just has that kind of money to throw at a setup. So I'll kind of give you guys my thoughts on what a more cost-effective setup would look like. So we'll get into that in a second, right? So here we have at least 3 ARI pages. Now, again, ARI pages, ARI is advertising reinstated. Now, if you guys ever try and create a page on a profile and run ads on it, it's not gonna work. Trust me, guys. I know there's gonna be a couple of you who are stubborn and they're gonna do it anyway. You guys are gonna quickly learn that it's a complete waste of time, okay? They need to be ARI pages, okay? Now, here's why we like to have multiple pages on multiple different profiles under the same business manager. The reason is because as of right now, I would say pages is like one of the biggest roadblocks with people in e-com, because pages are going down nonstop. So the thing is, if you guys are having your pages, let's say for example, you're running ads on this profile, right? So you're running ads on this employee profile and this page gets restricted. Well, if you have at least 2 other, or at least 1, right? But if you have these 2 other these 2 other pages ready to go, there's no lag time. That means, you relaunch the ads, obviously change a couple little things here and there, which we can get into that. But you relaunch the ads on one of the other pages, there's no lag time. You're ready to go instantly, right? Now, whether if you want to schedule the ads for midnight the next day, or if you want to just launch them midday, completely up to you. But the whole concept, again, is that there's no lag time, right? Because as you guys know, momentum is very important. So if there's a period of time where you lost all momentum, because let's say you have to hit up the BM plug, let's say you only have 1 page on your whole BM setup, then you have to hit up the BM plug, you have to tell them, hey, I need a page, maybe there's a time difference, right? You get the page a day later, then you have to warm up the page for a couple days, then you can run ads. Like, this is all lag time. We don't like lag time, we like to go. Go, 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 go. This is my concept, okay? So, there's a couple ways to warm up the whole setup. Now, I will kind of briefly go over it in this video, and then a majority of it will be in a PDF or a file that I will attach, again, either tonight or tomorrow. It just depends. It's gonna be very intricate, so it's probably gonna take me a little bit of time to write it all out. But in essence, the easiest way to warm stuff up is like this, right? When you first get access to these profiles, right, through a BM plug, or let's say, for example, you managed to get them from a friend, you wanna warm them up. And again, I will go over in great detail. This is a very intricate process in great detail in that downloadable file. But you wanna warm them up for at least like 5 days. And this is very simple, just by scrolling. You could like a couple videos, comment on a couple, don't go overboard with it, please don't. Like a couple things. You're gonna add it to the business manager, okay? And you do this by creating a link. Now, again, if you're gonna be buying business managers, which everyone here is gonna be doing, the VM plug will send you a link, and that is what you will attach to the profile, okay? Now, once you attach the profile to the VM, leave it for 2 days. Leave it 2 days, don't touch it. Just trust me on this, leave it for 2 days. Do not touch it. Next day, okay, so let's say 2 days has passed. Next day, add the payment method. Then leave it for a day. Then, after that's done, then you can start running ads. And I'll go over the full warm-up process in that downloadable file. But usually, just for those of you who are maybe a little bit more advanced and you've already kind of understood everything I've said, usually what we'll do is we'll start out at a $15 engagement campaign, and we'll let that run until usually around like $50 in spend. And at that point, we'll either go to traffic campaign or we'll just up the budget a little bit. And what we personally like to do is warm up our ad accounts to $100 in spend before we run conversion ads. However, you can do this until $50 in spend and then run conversion ads. But what we found works best, the least amount of stuff goes down if you warm it up to $100, which again, I understand not everyone has the capital to do that, okay? Now, let's say for example, you did not have a whole lot of money for a Facebook setup. Here's how I personally do it, okay? Main BM. At least 2 admin profiles, okay? 1 employee profile would be good, but at least 2 admin profiles. You need 2 because if one of your admin goes down and you don't have another one, it's gonna be really hard to regain access to your business manager, especially if the BM plug still doesn't have access to it. So keep this in mind, guys. Okay? At least 2 pages. So if you're gonna do this on a budget, okay? Main BM, 2 admin profiles, 2 pages, right? Because if 1 page goes down, you want to make sure that another page is ready to go immediately after, okay? Now, some of you might be wondering, why did I call this the main BM? Remember I told you guys earlier that there's a backup BM. Now, some of you might be saying, well, why do you need a backup business manager? Here's why. So, let's say there's the instance where, let's say you have 5 ad accounts on your business manager, 10 ad accounts, whatever it may be, okay? There comes a point where, especially if you guys are, doing drop shipping, let's say the shipping times are 10 to 20 days, doesn't usually fly with customers these days. Or, for example, let's say that you are scaling too hard, which is kind of our issue. We are super impatient, so we do what's called Chad scaling, which I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. It's like a meme by now. But essentially what Chad scaling is it's just like degenerately scaling. We're basically just duplicating things into CBOs, 50 times and just letting them run to the moon until the BM goes down. That's essentially our whole style, which I know is absolutely ridiculous, but it makes it fun, right? So, eventually speaking, the BM will go down. Eventually, it's really just inevitable. I know people who run brands with 5-day shipping, their BMs go down. So if you guys are running drop shipping, which we do drop shipping, your BM's gonna go down, guys. It's literally just inevitable. Okay. So we actually have, while this BM is running, we actually have a backup BM that's being warmed up with almost the same setup, right? Now keep in mind, it's a backup BM, which means it's getting warmed up with like engagement ads, no conversion ads. So we don't really have a need for this entire setup right here. There's no real need for that. But at least on our backup BM, we'll have, 2 admin profiles and 1 ARI page, right? So you gotta think about it like this, right? Again, the whole concept is about lag time, right? Like reducing lag time when issues come about. So when this main BM goes down, okay, hopefully it never goes down, but let's be realistic, okay? So when this main BM goes down, you have another BM ready to go, right? But let's say, for example, you didn't do the backup BM. Let's say you're just like, Josh, I don't think you know what you're talking about. I'm just gonna stick with the 1 BM. Okay, so let's go in that scenario real quick. You're running ads, everything's great. Let's say you got to your first 1K day, 10K day, 20K day, 50K day, 100K day. I don't give a shit what it is. Let's just say ads are going good, or let's just say you're only testing, right? BM goes down. Well, in order for you to run ads again on Facebook, which is why I preach to be omni-channel, which means you're running ads on every platform. In order for you to run ads again on Facebook, you would have to repeat the warm-up process for this business manager, which takes a really long time, by the way, guys. And again, I will put this in the file. In order to properly warm up as a business manager, in my personal view, and I've warmed up a whole lot of business managers, it takes about 2 weeks. 2 weeks to properly warm it up. So that means, let's say you're doing 10K days. Your BM goes down. And you don't have a backup BM that's already being warmed up or is already warmed up. Guess what? You got another 2 weeks at least until you can do ads again. Assuming that you don't already have, profiles warmed up and stuff like that, 2 weeks. That's gonna make or break your business, because as I'm sure a lot of you guys know by now, when you relaunch things, usually they don't go as well as they initially were. It loses optimization. Other people will join in on the product. So for example, let's say you guys were selling, I always use the posture corrector, so we'll stick with that. Say you guys were selling a posture corrector, everything was going good, your BM goes down. Then someone like me comes into the game. I start selling the posture corrector in those 2 weeks when you're waiting for your business manager to warm up. Now, I've taken over the ad space, and by the time that you jump back in, I'm beating you in all the auctions. It's just not even fair at this point, okay? So, let's go over a couple things to keep in mind. The setup is ever changing, okay? Setup changes. So, eventually, I will have to make an updated video on this. That's the great part about Discords, is that you guys get relevant information that's actually working at the time. Again, I've already preached, some people do it differently, which is completely okay. That's why I recommend you guys actually join other Discords as well, so you guys can see how I do it and how they do it. The only other ones at this moment that I would recommend, Pernobs, Ecom Baba, Ecom Legends, and then maybe Soldiers, but Soldiers is more so for TikTok. You must use multi-login. Now, let's go over multi-login. What is multi-login? Multi-login is a software that allows your one computer to act as, technically infinite computers, right? Now, you might be thinking, how is this possible? So, when you log in on your computer, right, you have an IP address. Now, an IP address is essentially a virtual stamp, which shows you where you're logging in from. So if I were to go on Google right now, let's say on my phone or on my computer, it would say that I'm logging in from Miami, Florida, right? And it would give like an exact location, okay? Now, what multi-login allows you to do is multi-login allows you to have different browsers, right? And in each browser, you can put a different proxy, which as I've mentioned earlier, proxies are essentially rented IP addresses, okay? So when you're using multi-login, you can essentially have, hundreds or thousands of browsers, each one with a different proxy, a different IP address, right? For each profile, right? So for example, if you were to log in to all these different profiles on your same computer, Facebook links you, right? Because they'll get to see that you're coming from the same IP. Let's say you have a MacBook that's called a Mac address, right? So they will link you and they'll shut you down, okay? So you have to use multi-login, and in the downloadable, again, I'll just call it a PDF. I will have which multi-login settings to use. Guys, multi-login is imperative. You must use it, especially if you want to take this game to the next level. Because my whole concept for this Discord is I want high-level players, right? Obviously, I understand there's gonna be new people, and that's completely fine. But I want this Discord to have crazy e-com killers, okay? And if you guys want to take it to the next level, you have to use multi-login. There's literally no other way around it, okay? Okay, so we went over the fact you have to use multi-login, okay? One proxy per profile. Now, it is super important that you use a new card for every business manager. One card per business manager, and it has to be new. It cannot have already previously been used on Facebook. So the way I recommend doing this is, obviously I recommend using credit cards. After talking with Ecom Legend, I understand that in other countries, not as many people use credit cards. I would recommend getting them. American Express is, in my opinion, the best credit card. I use American Express Gold for my business. And it's great because what you can do is you can reach out to them and you can say, hey, I want X amount of employee cards. I think with American Express, you can get up to 100 of them for free. So think about it, that's basically 100 business managers. If you guys, hold on, let me show you guys right here. Just right here on my desk, I'm looking at a whole other stack right here. Here's a whole fucking stack of them. I got another stack in my room. I got another stack over here. There's a whole lot of gold cards, right? So these are all for different business managers. So 1 card per BM, very important. Okay, 1 proxy per profile, I already said that. Backup business manager, again, crucial. Now, some of you might be saying, okay, this seems like a lot, which it is, and it's because it works for us. Now, there are services where you can do re-enables, right? So if a business manager goes down, you can re-enable the business manager, right? You pay someone, they re-enable it. The page goes down, okay? You can pay someone, they re-enable it. Now, a lot of you guys might be saying, Josh, why don't you just do that? Well, let's get into that. So, say the BM goes down, okay? When you pay someone to re-enable it, 1, does take time. There are services out there which I can plug, which it does take a little bit of time, like within a day. However, that's gonna cost you about 2 to 3K, could be higher by the time this video comes out. So, if you think about it, if you pay for the one that gets it to you really quick, 2 to 3 grand, you could make yourself probably another 2 setups with that, right? And that goes the same for pages as well, which pages is the biggest roadblock right now. You could pay 1 to 3K to get your page back, or you could just use the BM plug that I'm gonna give you, pay $100 and have another page, right? So it's either you could, let's say this page goes down, this is the page that's running ads. Let's say you only have 1 page, right? You could pay 1 to 3K to get the page back, or you could have already just spent $200 and have 2 other pages completely ready to go. Which one are you gonna choose? This is my personal opinion, right? Now, for other people, their model works better. And this is why I say, guys, different things work for different people, right? So what works for me might not work for them, okay? So this is the overall Facebook backend structure, right? Now, a couple other things. 1, you never want to paste your pixel onto your actual website. So what I recommend using is an app called Trackify. So essentially what Trackify does is, so if you guys are on Shopify right now, you guys will see that there's like a Facebook section where they want you to put in the pixel and log into Facebook. I don't recommend this. There's an app called Trackify, which essentially puts like a buffer between your website and Facebook, right? So here's your website, here's Trackify, here's Facebook. You paste your pixel into Trackify and it essentially keeps like a little bit of a barrier between the two, okay? So a lot of you might be thinking, this takes time, and it does. It really, really does. And I wanna explain to you guys kind of my thoughts behind this, right? So my thought is this. You can sit there and complain about how long it takes or how intricate it may be, which guys, by now this is like the back of my hand, right? It seemed like, it seemed very intricate at first, but now it's, it's just like second nature because you do it long enough. This will become very normal to you guys, right? So you can sit there and complain about, it's gonna take me 2 weeks to set this all up, this, and this, or you can start doing it today, and then in 2 weeks from now, you're gonna be so glad that you can now run ads properly on Facebook and scale your business, right? This is the realization I had to come to because there was a period of time a couple of years ago where we were going through these issues so hard and I didn't want to do this setup because it takes so long. And remember guys, you can have VAs outsource this so you're not the one doing this, right? If you're in the beginning stages, you probably will have to do this all yourself. However, you can have VAs outsource this, right? But just get started. Because guess what? In a couple weeks when you're able to run your ads, you guys are gonna be super glad that you watched this video and that you actually did this, okay? Now, I mentioned this before. This structure has worked for us now for probably around 8 months, but it is subject to change. So keep that in mind. It probably will change at some point. And of course, we'll put another video in on it. So as far as for my notes, that is everything I have, okay? So if you guys do have questions after this video is uploaded, you have a private chat for that. Fantastic, right? Keep in mind as well, when this video comes out, the PDF will not be coming out right when I post the video, just because I still need to write out the PDF, and the PDF is gonna be very, very expansive. So all the little details as far as like how to warm up a profile, you know, what settings to do in multi-login, you know, different things to do in your business manager, how to like properly warm up the pages. All these little things are gonna be in that PDF, but I wanted to put out this video first, so that way when the PDF drops, you guys have a better understanding of what you guys are gonna be reading, and you guys can go and implement it. So that recaps, that's total for video number 1. I think this was a banger. I think a lot of you guys are gonna learn a lot of good stuff from this, and then check out the video schedule. As I've already told you guys, some of it may change depending on the week, but thank you all for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.